All right, welcome back. 1 week out from President Trump's potentially historic sit-down with Kim Jong Un, and now Syrian President Bashar al-Assad wants his own face-to-face with Kim Jong Un. Assad saying, quote, "I'm going to visit the DPRK and meet Kim Jong Un."
Despite his claims, there are no indications that any plans have been made. But is it possible that North Korea is courting other heads of states while planning a summit with President Trump? Here now to weigh in is the author of Dear Reader, the unauthorized biography of Kim Jong-il. Michael Malice, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks, guys.
So what do you think of this latest news?
Well, on the one hand, could be just simple platitude that Assad made. On the other hand, one of the things that North Korea is certainly going to put on the table is their contention that why does the U.S. get to be an arms dealer and they don't. All those missiles tests that they're doing are great commercials for their product, and they're showing that a small country the size of Pennsylvania can stand up to the U.S. and other nations. So this is something that they're going to absolutely demand to be compensated for. If they're going to dial down their missiles and their weapons industry, they're going to want money or something else in exchange. And Syria would certainly be one of their biggest customers, and historically they've had a strong relationship.
These are two, very bad people meeting together. This is a big-time threat to, I think, international law. These two meeting, and it's a big threat to, I think, our negotiations here. Are we fools to go into this meeting at this point, knowing that these two are going to meet? This does seem like kind of bad news.
I think we'd be fools not to go into this meeting, and certainly we can't believe anything that the North Korean propaganda says. So just because they're quoting Assad saying that he's going to visit with Kim Jong Un at one point in the future doesn't mean he's gotten his flight yet. There's only one flight in and out of Pyongyang. I've been on that flight, so it's in the last terminal at the Beijing airport. So we got a ways to go before Assad. He has enough on his plate in the near future, I think, before he's sightseeing.
So you still think that we should have the summit, that President Trump should go to the summit, but does it perhaps change the approach? Oh,
I think President Trump is very well aware, and all the people in the White House are very well aware of the nature of the North Korean regime and who they're dealing with. This is not meeting with Theresa May or Angela Merkel. They know this is a murderous regime with 25 million hostages that has no problem keeping food away from their people in order to further their weapons and maintain their hold on power at any cost.
Vladimir Putin and President Trump meeting together is now potentially going to happen. What do you make of that?
Well, I think this is going to be interesting because I was born in the Soviet Union, and part of the Russian mentality is if your rivals are doing well, you're going to do what you can to undermine them just for the sake of doing so. So Russia is one of the 3 countries that has a small border with North Korea. So certainly Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, met with Kim Jong Un earlier this week. No doubt they discussed the upcoming summit and relations with America. So I can see Putin very much cozying up to Kim Jong Un, as he's done to other places in the world, simply as a method of undermining President Trump, as he tried to undermine President Obama.
Let's get your reaction to U.S. Ambassador to Russia, John Huntsman. He spoke about this, and then we'll hear from what you have to say on the other side.
As it relates to any potential meeting, it would be a ways off. But I think the president has stated before that he would like to get together with President Putin at some point and solve some of the issues between us. And that's a good thing. And the president is shrewd enough where he would not sit down with President Putin unless he had issues that served this nation.
So do you agree? You heard him say that's a good thing. Do you agree?
Oh, I think John Huntsman has a great insight onto this issue. He's ambassador to China for quite a while, so he understands the mindset of Russian and Chinese. So, and he was no Trump fan. So if he's, being behind the president on this issue, I think he's doing so for the right reasons.
Isn't the grand fear that you would have like a North Korea, Syria, Iran alliance, and then they could get somebody major like a Russia or a China behind them, and that potentially could, that could end up in a world war.
Well, this was their complaint, somewhat fairly, that in 2001 and 2, President Bush put them on the axis of evil with Iran and Iraq, and they said, what do we have to do with these other 2 countries? So North Korea has not historically been good at making alliances because their ideology is very much in self-reliance and not having to deal with other nations. And in fact, Kim Jong Un's recent attempts to court other countries like South Korea and Japan and China, this is very much a break from the past.
What's your biggest concern right now?
That the North Korean population will remain enslaved indefinitely.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Michael Malice. We appreciate it.